own business out in Tigard, Oregon. We're not affiliated with Hunkydory Crafts, but we love Hunkydory Crafts. And today I have a short description video for you where I'm going to show you how to get 45 cards from the Animal Kingdom set at Hunkydory. Now, this kit has 8 topper sets. A topper set simply means the foiled and die cut topper with 2 pieces of matching cardstock. Each topper set made more than 5 cards actually, because we got 45 cards from the set of 8. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you're going to get in your kit. I'll show you the topper set, then I'll immediately show you the cards I made from each one. We'll go through the 8 segments. Here is the inspiration sheet provided by Hunkydory. They provide you with one example from each of the 8 sets. And they also do talk to you a little bit about the other components in the set. I want you to know that we have all of these for sale right here in the United States. You don't have to send off to UK for them. And I have liberally used both the Adorable Scoreable set and the inserts. I'll try to remember to show you the inserts as we go through. I'm also working right now on a little book video, so watch for that to come out soon. If you're not already a member of our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos on how to use your wonderful Hunkydory supplies. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. This is our first topper set. This one is called Born to Stand Out. Yeah, you want to bring me in closer? There we go. This is the set called Born to Stand Out. This is the toppers. And the topper just means what's going to be the main focal element on your card. You can see that we have 4 big ones, as well as some sentiments and little tags. We're actually going to make cards. Oops, right side up is good. We're also going to make cards out of these corner pieces, and then we're going to use backgrounds from this sheet. So here's our corner treatment on one, and here is the absolutely stunning peacock piece. Okay, let's see what we did with those. We got 5 cards from this set. Here are the flamingos. This is taken from the corner of my cardstock. I have covered a 5x7 card. I've used one of my cutting dies. It happened to be a tattered lace filigree piece to make that little band coming down. And I've put my sentiment across the other way. I've cut my cardstock just a little smaller than my 5x7 card so that my mirror board will show all the way around. I used some fabric flowers from my stash, and I used a leaf die from Heartfelt Creations to finish the effect. And I want to show you how nicely the insert sheets finish off these cards. So we'll try and remember to look at those as we go. Here's a second one. This one's done from that upper corner of the cardstock, you'll remember. And we have put this on a European A6 card. We have a beautiful collection of cards here in our store that are on 300 GSM cardstock, which makes really fabulous weight for card making. A lot heavier than most of the US cardstocks. I've taken that topper, the focal piece, and I've broken it into 2 pieces. These are die cut in the center. So I popped out the center. I glued that flush to my card. I put this one up on some foam squares, and I put some foam squares behind my little button sentiment there. Next up, there were 2 hummingbird toppers on the sheet. And I could have made 2 separate cards from these, but I was playing with them, laying them out, and I ended up with this arrangement. I really liked it, so I made the unusual decision for me to use 2 toppers on a single card. But one alert here is that one of these, the circle in the center, is much larger than the other. You probably won't notice it until I point it out the way I've arranged these here, but you see how this one is thicker and this is thinner around the outside, which means that one of the hummingbirds is larger than the other. To offset for that being a difference in size, I took the gold ring out from the one that was surrounded by a gold ring, and I put that in the middle. And then the larger topper, I started at the bottom of the ring. And for the smaller topper, I set it down so that it's sitting right at the inside border of the ring. And that gives you a nice sense of balance for this card. Next up, here's the peacock. The peacock card, I didn't do a lot to this. I used a 4x8 card. I covered it in mirror board, which I do a large part of the time because I just think it really helps to set off the beautiful foiling of these Hunkydory cards. I used some some purple dazzles from hot off the press, and I put the tiniest dazzles in the eyes of the peacock feathers. I added my sentiment about some foam squares, and I just didn't think this needed anything else. I thought it was beautiful. If you want to see more detail about how any of the cards that we're showing here in these videos are made, I've made individual live stream classes with each of these, so you can simply go to the video of interest and watch for more detail. This is just kind of a recap. Okay, on this one, I've taken the opposite end of the cardstock, and I have used a three-piece topper, or what was a three-piece topper. It had an outer frame, a gold ring, and the inner artwork. I popped those three pieces apart, and on this one, I chose to use only the outer and the inner pieces. This gold ring that was here, I saved for another project. I really liked the way the foiling looked when it came through the background, and that blue from the background. So I put both of those up on some foam squares. I put 3 little medium-sized jewel dazzles at the bottom. Tied this beautiful bow. If you want to learn to tie those beautiful bows, check out our embellishment attic bowmaker videos on YouTube. And once I tied what we call our Kathy bow here, I tucked the tag up under the edge so that it looks like it's tied into the bow. I don't want to work that hard, so I glued it up under there. That's our first set. Next up, we have Stay Wild. This is a set with black bears, panda bears, and wolves, actually. Here we have our panda bear and our black bear down here. And then we have 2 toppers that are very highly detailed, maybe a little bit hard to see at this view, but they look as if they're kind of Native American imagery. We've got a bear with a wolf and an eagle, and there's actually some totems behind them here, and they made it into beautiful cards. And then see this little bird here? We actually use that little bird as a card. I get a lot of questions. Debbie, what do we do with these little tiny toppers? My answer is we make them bigger. And I'll show you what I mean as we go. Here's our cardstock with our black bear and our little blue birds in the corner. Here's our cardstock with our pandas. Isn't that beautiful with that foiling? Ah, love this one. Okay, let's see what we did with them. Start with our pandas. Here's the largest topper in the set. I've done this one on a black card. I've used a white piece of cardstock to create a mat. And then I've used a piece of my cardstock from the cardstock sheet. I took a black piece of satin ribbon and wrapped around the corners of the card to create something that looked like photo mats. And then I broke that topper set into 3 pieces, recessing the center little gold top out and putting both the art imagery from the center and the frame up on some foam squares. This is what they look like with the inserts in them. Here's the panda bears off of the cardstock sheet. This one's on a 5x5 card. And on this one, I brought in a piece of the border from the other side of the cardstock and then created borders on both sides. Again, if you want to see more about how I've done that, you can check out the live stream video to take a look at exactly how that was done. But that's what I did with that one. In this next card, I'm using a piece of lime-colored cardstock from the Adorable Scoreable pack. I'm using a black mat that I've cut using a Couture Creations cutting die, and I'm using my topper. And I just didn't do anything extra to this. This is again a 5x5 card. That's a 3.5, 3.75 maybe inch mat that I have it on in the back, and I just put my topper on some foam squares and popped it on there. I thought that looked great the way it was. I'm using the same Couture, oops, these are hard to find the top of, but you have to find the top based on what the little bear's doing. He's laying across the stump. I've taken the corner of my cardstock and I've used that same layering piece, the Couture Creations die cut, and used up in the corner. And then I've put my sentiment topper on diagonally across that to kind of fill that space where this was just a corners piece. I think this turned out adorable. I believe this one's a 6x6. Yes, it is. This is a 6x6, and I have covered my card with a piece of black pearlescent paper, and then I've layered on a piece of Gold Mary, and then I've cut my corner down to go on top. So this one has layers as well. 3 more cards from this set. I told you we were going to make a card out of that little bird. We have the little birds in the upper corner of the Black Bear cardstock. I used that corner. And then I've got my little birds here from the topper set. And this piece right here, this foiling across here, was not on the original cardstock, but I wanted a piece of gold there. So I actually used one of the borders on the punch-out sheet that was a throwaway border and cut it to go across there. This is all backed by a piece of Adorable Scoreable from the Adorable Scoreable set. And this just has simple leftover liner paper in it because I didn't have liners for these in the liner set. Here's one of our Native American images. I'm using a leftover piece of cardstock from my panda bear. I've backed that with a piece of mirror board. I've cut this piece here from that same die that we've looked at that was used as the mat. I have black velvet paper actually behind here. This card is very tactile and soft when you touch it. It's beautiful. And then I've put my topper up on some foam squares with the frame and put the actual image down flush to the card. Here's one more way I use that same mat, that same die from Couture Creations. I have cut that little trellis into corners. I've taken a leftover piece of cardstock from the set. I wrapped 2 pieces of blue ribbon around it just to bring out the colors in the Native American topper. I put the topper on top of that. This time I made the outside border flush with my card and I put foam squares underneath the center image and then put foam squares under my tag. And that's it for that set. Next up, we have Be Strong. Be Strong is the Big Cats set. They're beautiful. Look at that tiger. Isn't it amazing? And the cheetahs, and then we have some snow leopards and some sentiments. Here's our tiger with foiling. Well, isn't that interesting? This set is misprinted. We'll pull this out of inventory or correct it. This is supposed to be up here. So it got foiled on the wrong side of the cardstock. That very seldom happens with Hunkydory, but it does give me a chance to say, because we're a U.S. merchant, if you ever have anything odd that happens with your set, if it's missing a piece or if there's an error in a piece like this one, you simply have to pick up the phone and call me, and we'll send you out a topper set in correction or adjust your bill, depending on whether or not we have availability of the individual topper. But we'll take care of you quickly and easily. You don't have to worry about returning things to the UK or again, waiting long hours on the phone with customer service. You either email me or call me, leave a message, and we will immediately take care of you. Corrections usually go out the next day. So we got to keep this one out. Remember to take care of that. And here's the cheetah. Let's take a look at what we made from those when they're properly made. Okay, we got 6 cards from this set. We'll start with the cheetahs. Here's my cheetah. I've taken the corner off of my cardstock. I have mounted that on kind of an off-white cardstock. I have wrapped, before I put it down to my paper, I tied a double bow and I wrapped it around so that the ends of my bow are anchored behind my card. I popped my frame apart, and you'll often see me do the raised, flush, raised kind of treatment on these 3-part frames. But isn't that beautiful in front of that gold foiling? Gorgeous. Here's another one. This is another one that's that is in kind of a corner of my cardstock. This time I've cut out my corner of my cardstock. I have used 3 corner stickers. I believe these are star forms, but they could be from one of our other companies. We sell thousands of peel stickers. And we put corners on 3 pieces, and then I used a die cut from Couture Creations, and I cut that in half diagonally to create a corner treatment here. I ran my border on the diagonal and clipped it off so that we created something that can almost look like a belt buckle here with our sentiment in the middle, and I think this turned out gorgeous. Next up, this is my favorite card from the set. This is done on black cardstock. We've used corners and borders, this time from Duty. We have a beautiful selection of cards, corner and border stickers that we import from Holland. And these are called Duty. And we tied a black double-faced satin bow here in the double. We popped out the topper, and again, it's that raised, flush, raised treatment with the 3-piece topper set, just to add dimension. And we've got that button up on more foam squares. Let me show you the inside of this too. So even though they're dark cards, they're beautiful on the inside. So if your cards happen to be black inside, aligning them is especially important. This one's inspired by Disney's Jasmine. Remember that beautiful tiger that Jasmine has in the palace? And this kind of reminded me of Moroccan sort of lace. So I cut one topper into 4 pieces and created 4 lacy corners on it. And then tied a black satin double bow and put my topper up. And I think this looks really pretty. And that's on black card. You'll notice I did not line this or map this with gold mirror board since I already had so much gold on it. And then I had one topper left. I stuck it on the inside with my insert. These are the Snow Leopard cards. And this time I cut out a Couture Creations frame and I added borders from that same duty set, and just put that little snow leopard in the middle. Now this is like a gift card or a gift enclosure. It's half of a 5x7. I literally took a 5x7 card and cut it in half to make this one. And this one is handled similarly. I use my border and corner stickers from Duty to create my diagonal lines and my corners. I turned that cutting die we looked at a moment ago on corner so that it creates kind of a diamond. And then I put my snow leopard in the middle. That's it for those. Next up, we have Wild at Heart. Wild at Heart is the giraffe, zebra, and elephant set. I love this one. Isn't that gorgeous? I looked at that and thought, there's 4 card faces here. And one of the reasons I use European A6 cards is because the card stock from Hunkydory is done on European A4. And an A6 card is 1/4 of the A4 piece. You can literally lay out 4 A6 cards on here. And often I get way more cards from a pack than what Hunkydory said. Well, I always get more than they say that we're going to, because they say you'll get 2 generally. And I always get more than 2. But I can get as many as 4 toppers from a set, or 4 layers from a set, by covering my card with 4 different pieces from one cardstock sheet. And here's the giraffe. Let's take a look at our cards. We got 5 from this set. Let's start with our giraffes. This one, I used a black card, and I covered it. I covered a 5x7 card, and then I used mushroom color velvet paper. Then I used a piece of black Miri board and backed the corner of my cardstock. Here's another emblem that's made using that same cutting die from Couture Creations. You'll remember a little while ago on the Native American card, we cut that down in a strip of 5. This time, I cut it out of complimentary Adorable Scoreable and placed it here on the giraffe card. And I didn't have enough sentiments for all of my own for my cards, so I made up a bunch of my own and picked a few up off the internet. This one says, "Hope your birthday is full of big surprises." I just printed that on cardstock and then backed that with some black Miri. Here's our giraffe from the set, and this one is mounted on a piece of Adorable Scoreable from our Animal Kingdom Adorable Scoreable pack. And it's very simply done. I've done the popping it apart in 3 pieces, gluing the frame in between here down flush, putting foam squares under all 3 of these pieces to give that some dimension. And with the colors, it's just rich and beautiful. It didn't need any more than that. Next up, here's the first of our elephant cards. I'm using that border from right across the bottom of the elephants. I've put this on European A6 and I've covered that with gold mirror board. And I've made up my own sentiment. This says "Happy Birthday" from the whole herd. And I bordered that with some gold Miri. This time, I actually found this sentiment on the internet and I thought it was cute. It says, "Age is irrelevant. Have a huge birthday." And it's got my elephant. Here's what this looks like lined. They're cute. Of course, I also had a big elephant topper. This time I have covered my 5x7 card in gold Miri. I put down navy blue velvet paper. I took my frame, I popped it apart in 3 pieces, foam square, flush, foam square, and then I hung my tag off of the side of my frame with a few foam squares under the edge to hold that evenly. And I think that's just classy and beautiful. And it's fun to touch because of that velvet paper. Next up, here's another card using that same die cut. This is using leftovers from my elephant sheet. I used let's see, how did I do this? I cut the border piece off of the top of the cardstock that was left after doing my elephant, and then I cut a matching border off of the remainder of that sheet and used borders on the top and on the bottom. I put my fancy background in there, and then I put my smaller topper in the middle, and I think that looks terrific. You just wouldn't think about a little topper like that making a whole card, but it looks great. Okay, next up. This one's called All My Love. And we have flowers with butterflies and dragonflies. Here we've got butterflies and looks like maybe a peony. And we've got dragonflies and iris. And we've got purple roses with butterflies. We've got a larger print of that corner with the butterflies. We've got a larger print with the roses, and then this beautiful foiling up in this corner. Let's see what we've done with these. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards from this set. Okay, here's the pink topper. Just using a piece off of the matching cardstock. And notice how I set this whole frame to the left and then added my tag a little bit off the right. Sometimes I think that people make the mistake of trying to make things too symmetrical on their cards when they end up looking better if you shift them one direction or the other and then slide another element in to create balance. This one is raised, flat raised. I put a border piece down here across the bottom of my borders from the topper set, and I use some stickles to really give some character to those glittered pieces. This is what it looks like lined. Here's that same Couture Creations cutting die. I often bring cutting dies and other brands into my Hunkydory cards to give them fun character and expand the creative possibilities. I brought my border piece down. I put my cutting die on top of that. I put my sentiment on top of that with some foam squares, little stickles around the rows, and I thought it was good to go. Here's a rose using that corner treatment. I thought it matched really nicely with the foiling around this rose. This time I put, and I actually did this when I did it in class too, this time rather than stickling the roses or the flowers, I stickled the butterflies, and I actually like that better. And I've broken my frame into 2 pieces. The outside frame is on foam squares. The art in the middle is glued flat down. We've got foam squares behind this little button. Here's a different Couture Creations die that I used on this one. This one's beautiful because it features these heart cutouts. If you don't get our newsletter, sign up for our newsletter, and I will list in the newsletter the names of all of these dies that I used so that you can search those down if that's something that's of interest to you. So if you're not already a subscriber, I'll put a link directly below this video. Be sure you sign up for our newsletter and I'll get that information for you. I do that for all of the videos that I create, I show you um, how you can get the supplies that we're using. But you can see on this one, I'm really featuring the dragonflies, so that's where I put my shine. And then just the gems and that beautiful gold filigree work make this card just really pop. This is on a 6x6. And finally, this is done with the corner of the piece of cardstock. And this time I put stickles on all three of the butterflies and just the center of the flower. Other than that, I've covered my European A6 with gold Maryboard. I've put foam squares under this little button, and I didn't think it needed any more than that. I thought it's quite pretty the way it is. Next up, we have Forever Together. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. This one features these beautiful horses, a black and white horse. It features an eagle, and it features this beautiful elk. Just gorgeous, gorgeous topper set. Here's the cardstock with the horses. Here's the cardstock with the elk. Just wonderfully beautiful. Okay. We made 5 cards, I believe, from this set. First, here's the horses. I used the Tall Stepper card from Tattered Lace. I loved being able to kind of show some height to this one with the horses and be able to use kind of that stormy sky and put my happy birthday up there. Your eyes play a trick on you a little bit. This is the same purple jewel dazzles, although they look blue on this background in the camera light, but there. And this is using the borders right off of that piece of cardstock. Isn't that pretty? And this stands up really pretty too. We also have a wide selection, about 600 tattered lace dies at any given point in time in our little family store out here in Oregon. Oh, I didn't show you that that's actually lined as well. We lined that. Here's our other horse card. This is really pretty. On this one, I covered my card in gold and I gave it really generous borders. And then I used this border piece that they had on the border sheet, ran that right up to the gold so that it really, the gold kind of blends in and you get those beautiful kind of rick-rack designs above and below the horses. And you get those pretty purple dazzles, really, adding an additional sparkle as well. Here's the first of our elk. Boy, I love this card. This is so simple, but it's so gorgeous. 5x7 card. I've put in my peel sticker, happy birthdays. I have taken that frame, I've broken it in 3 pieces. I raised it on foam squares, I recessed it, and raised it on foam squares. That's it. Because the imagery itself really carries the day here. Their imagery and their foiling, it couldn't be more beautiful. Next up, here's someone off the cardstock. I didn't do a lot to this one either because I think, again, the imagery is just gorgeous. I cut the corner off the cardstock. I put it on a European A6 card that had been covered with Maryboard, added gold foiled happy birthday, and I put my little sentiment tag down here that says many happy returns. And this is what I did with the eagle. I had 3 smaller toppers with the eagle, and this also is a tattered lace set. This is called Tattered Lace Mini Shapes die set, and I still have some of these dies available and in stock. This creates a small sidestepper card that's just perfect for using up some of those small toppers. So we've got our gorgeous eagle in flight in front of the waterfall there. We've got our sentiment tag that says soar confidently, and then we have a little eagle in flight. But when it's sitting down, that shows more than it does when I'm holding it up in front of the camera. And then jewel dazzles, the same purple sheeted jewel dazzles, just to add some additional elements of interest. Next up, we have Love Conquers All. We have, this is elements from the pond. So here's our frog stack. All the frogs are stacked up here. Here in the bottom, we have kissing frogs with the dragonfly below. Here we have our beautiful swans of iris. Here we have our stacked frogs again. And here's our dragonfly in the corner. Here's those swans again. Let's hold them right side up. Here's our swans again. How pretty is that? I love this cardstock. They did find it interesting that they combined frogs and swans in one topper set, but I guess they're all from the pond. Okay, let's see what we did with those. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards from that set. And here's what they look like. Here's our frog from the corner of our cardstock. Yeah, my stack's getting a little big, so if you could go out just a little bit, that would be good. There we go. I have this beautiful iridescent, this is called woven iridescent ribbon, and the dark orange and olive that just picked up these frogs beautifully and added a little bit of shine. And I love the way that looked. This one says, fun on your big day. And it's lined. Here's the other frog stack. I have to move some of these down. Obscuring the view. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Here's the other one. You can see it's on a 5x7 card, covered with gold Mary, layered up a piece of my cardstock, broke my frame in 3 pieces. I did think, yes, I did. This had borders at the top and borders at the bottom. I brought the borders from the top down, and you'll see that once again I used that technique of covering the corners with my ribbon so they look sort of like photo corners, just to add an additional element of interest. Here's my dragonfly. We've seen this die before, and this time I'm just taking that die and surrounding the smaller butterfly topper, making it bigger so it really carries the card. We've got our Kathy bow tie here. If you want to learn how to tie that, tune in and see our YouTube videos. Using some gems to just kind of offset the different sections of the card here. I think this is just beautiful. And of course, I've stickled that dragonfly to really make him shine. I love this card. It's beautiful. Anytime I do swans, there has to be glitter involved because swans just want to be glittered. They just need it. They're such beautiful, elegant birds. So we've got stickles on our swans. I'm just taking that corner piece. I used a piece of purple crepe ribbon, my favorite ribbon in the world to tie. Purple crepe ribbon to match that iris. And then some gems in blue. I've covered my card in gold Maryboard and Then I actually used this tan color piece back here, or kind of buff color. Looked really good with the stems in my iris. That's actually out of the Adorable Scoreable pack. In fact, I'm not sure that I've mentioned all the pieces that have come out of my Adorable Scoreable. I think there's only, I've got it sitting here, I think there's only 3 colors of Adorable Scoreable I did not use in making these cards. Here's my swan on a 5x5 card, which we scored in half, and then we layered it in 2 sections using gold mirror board and then pieces of our cardstock. We layered it in 2 sections. You can see those. It looks beautiful when it's laid out. Everything's nice and centered. I built this up on a separate piece of cardstock. I actually used a leftover piece of Adorable Scoreable, and I built my topper up on that extra piece, layering. This one has my frame glued down flush, and then the gold ring glued down flush, and the swans are raised. I used 4 gems on the center points of my topper, and then I used a leftover piece of cardstock to create a stopper after I lined my card. So we created an easel card from that one, just using a regular 5x5. Here's my dragonfly with my 2 kissing frogs. This uses 2 pieces of cardstock from my Adorable Scoreable stack. And here is another of those Couture Creations frames. My frogs are kissing, my dragonfly has stickles on it, and this one says love conquers all. Isn't that pretty? Just the cardstock layered with that beautiful filigree from the cutting die, and the frogs on top of it. That makes a beautiful card. Okay, our final set today is our, this is Wish Big, and this one has our whales, dolphins, sea turtles. Here's our whales. Here's our dolphins. And let's see what we got from this one. Once again in this set, I used my tattered lace. This is card, it's tattered lace card, mini card bases, I think it's called, but it'll be in our newsletter. If you don't have that one, that's a terrific set. I use it all the time. And once again, it's just a perfect use for some of the small toppers. You'll see I used 3 little toppers, well, 4 little toppers with my sentiment and a piece of border, and how pretty is that? It didn't need anything else. I just cut it out of a piece of matching Adorable Scoreable and popped them on there. And they look great. Here's my whales. This was in a 3-piece set, and I used a piece of my cardstock that was left over from my background, and I broke my topper piece into 3 pieces. I backed that with a piece of my cardstock, and then I layered those in there to give that neat layering effect. I used black gems above and below. I used a black card to put all of this on. I layered that with a piece of gold mirror board, and I layered that with a piece of very bright blue cardstock from my Adorable Scoreable pack. I brought that cardstock right down to the white line that was on the printed cardstock background. And then, like I said, I used that layering technique. And of course, where I had all this ocean spray splashing up and everything's happening in the moonlight, I got some some glitter was called for. So we have stickles on the moon, on the splashing spray, and in places on the whales. Basically the same treatment here, black card, gold layered mirror board. I've taken the corner of my cardstock and layered it next. Before I put my cardstock down, I actually wrapped a piece of black 3/8 inch satin ribbon around my topper and then glued a bow in place. I make it look like I did it all in one piece, but no. And this is Wish Big. This is where the name of the set comes from. And you can really see that glitter playing on this one. But I thought that was necessary with all the spray and the foam. Next, some of my favorite cards from the set are these Dolphins. They just look so happy. But don't Dolphins always look happy? This one, I used a black card layered with gold mirror board. Over that, I layered my piece of cardstock, but before putting it down, this time I did tie a double bow with long tails and wrap the back of the tails around the back of my cardstock before securing it to my card. I added my best wishes, and then I took some silver jewel dazzles by hot off the press, and I used the little tiny ones and the medium ones to just actually all I did was cover up the bubbles that were already showing on this cardstock to create those pretty bubble trails, and I think that just cinches it for this card. And finally, here we go. This is our last one of the set. This is our 45th card from Animal Kingdom. We've got a black card layered in gold mirror, layered with a piece off of my cardstock. I've used the frames just as they were, breaking it in 3 pieces, up on foam squares, glued flush, up on foam squares. I added my jewel dazzles to the bubble streams. I added some gems above and below just for an additional accent. And that was it. If you want to see how any of these cards were made in more detail, we have more detailed videos out there. Just look at the live stream and pick out the set you're interested in viewing. Again, we'll put our newsletter link in the comment section below this video. If you're not already a subscriber to our channel, hit that subscribe button, and you never have to miss one of our card making videos. And then we'll send you a newsletter after every video that shows the materials that we used in that video. So it's a pretty good system all in all. I'm Debbie from Simply Special Crafts, and we'll see you next time.